श्रीराघवं दशरथात्मजमप्रमेयम् सीतापतिं रघुकुलान्मयरत्नदीपम् आजानुबाहुम् अरविन्ददलायताक्षम् रामम् निशाचर विनाशकरम् नमामि नमामि नमामि
Ramakatha Rasavahini. Chapter 7, Part 3. Rama. In ancient times, Kashyapa had two wives, Aditi and Dithi. Dithi's sons were repositories of physical might, and Aditi's sons of moral grandeur. They grew up mightier and mightier with each passing day. The parents derived great joy watching them grow up so fair and fast. One day, both Dithi's and Aditi's sons gathered together and entered into a discussion on how to avoid old age. Finally, they came to the conclusion that the nectar that can be secured by churning the ocean of milk would prevent the physical calamities of disease and death. Soon, they set about their task. The Mandara mountain was plucked and placed in the ocean as the churning rod. The serpent Vasuki was chosen as a rope to be wound around the rod so that the rope might rotate quick and fast. While the churning continued for a long time, the Vasuki began vomiting its poison. It was enraged so much as a result of the pain that its fangs struck against the rocks of the mountain peak. The poison fume raged as a huge fire. Seeing this, Dithi's and Aditi's sons became mortally afraid. They felt they would be burned to ashes in that holocaust. They prayed for the Lord's succor. When Lord Vishnu appeared before them, Dithi's sons pleaded pathetically, "Lord, save us, put an end to this dreadful disaster." The Lord changed into Shiva and said, "Dear ones, I am the eldest of the gods, so I am entitled to receive the first fruit of this churning process." And he drank off without delay the demonic poison that was causing the panic. Thereafter, the sons of Dithi and Aditi continued the churning of the ocean. Another calamity threatened them. The Mandara peak started sinking, so they prayed again to Lord Vishnu. He appeared again and assured them, "Don't be frightened." The Lord assumed the form of a tortoise and, getting underneath the mountain peak, raised it on his back and kept it safe on the hard shell as long as the churning lasted. Kashyapa's sons were immensely grateful and happy. They extolled the Lord in profusion. From out of the ocean of milk, a god emerged, with a stick, danda, and water pot in his hands. His name was Dhanvantari. Even as Diti's and Aditi's sons were looking at him, there emerged again from the ocean thick sweet jewels, rasa, which got rolled into a ball, which in turn swelled and broke, disclosing a bevy of maidens. Since they were born of rasa juice, they are named Apsaras. They tried in many ways to persuade the sons of Diti and Aditi to wed them. They prayed and petitioned, but all their efforts were of no avail, so they lived without being wedded, free and fickle. Then, from out of the waves rose the daughter of the water god, Varuni, and she had a chalice full of intoxicating liquor. Diti's sons refused to have anything to do with the liquor. Aditi's sons quaffed it. Those who didn't accept the liquor, Sura, were known as demons, Asura, and those who accepted it as gods, Suras. At last, the nectar arose from the ocean of milk. Who should drink the nectar? A huge conflict broke out between the sons of Diti and Aditi. In the terrible fight that ensued, Aditi's sons began destroying Diti's sons. The battle threatened to become a battle of extinction. The earth shook under the thrust and counter-thrust of weaponry in that battle. Fear and anxiety spread their dark clouds over the world. Suddenly, Vishnu appeared before the contending parties as an entrancingly charming damsel who captivated the hearts of all and led their minds away from the combat into which they had plunged. She charmed everyone, and during her appearance, the previous holy nectar disappeared. Diti's sons had all died. Their mother's grief was beyond consolation. Kashyapa failed to bring her to the state of normalcy. His attempts to teach her the evanescence of things failed to convince her. She wailed aloud and lamented most excruciatingly, as if the end of the world had come. At last, Diti brought herself round. She approached Kashyapa and, submerging her agony deep into her mind, said, "Lord, is this just? We both had children by you. Now I have been made childless. Is this fair? Must I grieve eternally thus? Not even one of my sons is alive. Rather than have many short-lived sons, one long-living one is more desirable, isn't it?" When she wept aloud in this manner, Kashyapa consoled her and told her to enter on the discipline of austerities to propitiate the gods, so that she might have a son who would live long. He advised her to give up her grief, which would never fulfill her desire. Encouraged by him and seeking his blessings, she left immediately and started austerities with the professed aim of securing from the gods the boon of a son who would be able to defeat the Lord of Gods, Indra himself. Kashyapa told her, "Asceticism is no easy discipline. One has to be pure until the very end. One has to observe the vows and fasts without the least infringement. Only then will the gods be pleased and grant the boon." Diti reached the holy region known as Kusaplava and entered upon rigorous asceticism. Knowing her resolve, Indra wanted to test her. He came to her in the guise of her attendant. Diti's prayer was answered. She became pregnant through divine grace. Days passed, months rolled by. Indra was beside her as attendant. One day, in the hot hours of noon, overcome by sleep, she lay on the bed with her hair loose and her head where the feet were usually placed. This was against the strict rules of ceremonial purity, which she had to observe with tenacity. So Indra got his chance. He noted that her posture was contrary to scriptural injunctions, so he punished her by fragmenting the fetus in her womb. The fragment started weeping inside the womb, for their limbs and segments which had broken away. The attendant, Indra, spoke softly to them. "Don't weep." Diti had terrible bouts of bleeding. She lamented her fate and wept most pitiably. Indra stood before her with folded palms and pleaded, "Mother, pardon me. You acted contrary to the rules of ceremonial purity and broke the vow. Your hair was unbound and loose, and your head was on the bed where the feet are normally placed. When you slept thus, your ascetic practice was defiled. When the enemy who is waiting for a chance to foil your fortune gets such an opportunity, will he keep quiet? I am Indra, come in this form. You prayed for a son who would kill me, didn't you? The fetus in the womb was to destroy me, so I took the chance to foil my foe. And I did not destroy him through commendable tactics. You know that strict observance of the vow was essential for the success of your plan. You had to ensure that you did not violate the code. The fetus has been cut into 7 fragments, and I have told them not to weep. So they will be born as the 7 godly Marutas, wind gods. I confer this boon on you." Indra then returned to heaven. Rama, this place is where Indra and Diti had this dialogue and compromise. Here, Ikshvaku had a son, Visala, by Alamba Devi. The kingdom is called Visala after him. Visala begat Hemachandra, the mighty. He begat Suchandra, who had a son, Damraswa, whose son was Srinjaya, whose son was Sahadeva. Sahadeva was very rich and prosperous, a strong pillar of morality and righteousness. He was a valiant ruler of the kingdom for a very long period. His son Somadatta had Kakutstha born to him. Sumati was the son of that heroic monarch. He too was a very upright, virtuous ruler. In purity and holiness, he was equal to the gods. Rama, today we enter the Visala city and sleep here. Tomorrow we will reach the city of Emperor Janaka. These words made them all happy. The news of Vishwamitra's arrival was communicated to Sumati by messengers, and he rushed forward to the sage with a retinue of courtiers, ministers, scholars and priests, praying for him to enter the city and sanctify the royal palace by his stay. Vishwamitra was pleased with his humility and reverence. He inquired sweetly about his health and happiness, as well as about his kingdom. They were engaged in conversation for some time on the affairs of the kingdom and dynasty when Sumati's eyes fell on Rama and Lakshmana. He was so enchanted by their charm and dignity that he asked Vishwamitra who these lion cubs were. Vishwamitra replied, "Sumati, I don't have time to tell you the long story now. Wait until we reach your place." He then directed the monks and ascetics who had accompanied him to proceed to the city of Visala. He too rose and walked, Sumati talking with him all the while on matters pertaining to the kingdom. When they reached the city gate, music from many voices and instruments rent the air, and Brahmins recited hymns of welcome and good wishes from the scriptures. After partaking of the reception feast arranged by the king of Visala, Vishwamitra described to the gathering of royal kinsmen, priests and pandits his own Siddhashram and the yajna that he had celebrated, as well as the heroic way in which Rama and Lakshmana stood guard to defend the sacrificial pressings from surrounding demons. The listeners were struck with wonder and boundless spiritual bliss at the skill and courage of the princes. They looked on them with admiration, and they felt that they were Nara Narayana come again. They prostrated before them, overcome by feelings of reverence. Since it was already late, Rama and Lakshmana fell at Vishwamitra's feet and, taking his permission, went to the house that was specially set apart for their rest. Even before dawn, they rose, went through the morning ablutions, performed the matinal rites, and came to their preceptor in good time to proceed on the next stage of the journey. They expressed gratitude to King Sumati and moved on towards Mithila. Sumati accompanied them for some distance and then took leave of the sage and others. Vishwamitra walked on with his disciples and the princess, and by noon they reached an expansive park. It appeared as if it could boast of a number of hermitages years ago, but now the dwellings had crumbled. One could also see altars once maintained with loving attention and spots where the sacred fires was once lit and fed. Rama noted that the place was sanctified by ascetics and sages, and it drew Vishwamitra's attention to his surmise. Vishwamitra smiled and said, "Rama, how correctly you have observed. I am very glad. I will tell you why the great personage who lived in this place left it and went away. Listen. Even the gods used to acclaim this hermitage. This is the hermitage of the great sage Gautama. For many years he resided here with his wife, Ahalya. He gladly underwent the most severe austerities and he did many elaborate rites. This park was resplendent with spiritual grandeur. It was bright and full of peace and joy. Every day was a holy day for the people here. Ahalya, the sage's wife, was a woman of great virtue and a perfect paragon of beauty. No one was equal to her in personal beauty and charm, so Gautama kept her ever under watch, guarding her with vigilant care. One day, while Gautama was absent, Indra, the chief of the gods, came into the hermitage in the guise of Gautama himself. The virtuous spouse took him to be her lord, and she served him reverentially. But the real Gautama entered and discovered her apparent faithlessness. He recognized Indra in spite of his disguise and became terribly enraged. "You evil-minded fellow!" he shouted, but Indra had suddenly disappeared. Gautama turned towards Ahalya in anger, roaring, "You vowed to destroy the hermitage by indulging in vice, is it? I won't stay a minute longer. I can't tolerate the sight of your face. Be prostrate behind some bush, living as a sprite on air, with no food or drink. I am off." Ahalya wept her heart out and pleaded that she was innocent of sin, and that she was deceived by the disguise and activated only by reverence towards her lord, that she was carried away by the duty of loyalty to him. She held his feet and prayed for pardon. Gautama melted a little at her importunities as the truth became clear to him. But since words once spoken could not be withdrawn, he said, "Ahalya, you know that I vowed never to go against the spoken word. Therefore, you have to lie in bush and briar, sad and starving until Rama, Dasharatha's son, comes this way. Seeing you, he will shower grace on you, allowing you to touch his feet, and he will speak with you in great compassion. The darshan, sparshan and sambhashan, vision, touch and speech of the Lord will cleanse you, and you will shine forth in your real form and charm. I will then rejoin you." So saying, Gautama left this place and hastened to the Himalayan region. From that moment, Ahalya lost her name and form. She lives on the air and is deeply lost in austerity, eager to rejoin her lord. And this once lovely park suffered neglect. Ramachandra expressed great surprise. What? You are telling me that she is waiting for me? Please let me know where she is in deep austerity. Tell me where. As Rama moved on, Vishwamitra and Lakshmana followed him at a distance. He passed through tangled bushes and entered a hut behind a briar bush. Until that moment, Ahalya was immersed in austerity. She was far away from the eyes of gods, demons and men. She had forgotten her name and lost her form. She had no concern with food and sleep. She was merely existing as a piece of rock. She appeared like the moon's orb, well hidden by clouds, or like the sacrificial fire, covered by thick curtains of smoke. As Rama neared her, his foot touched her. Ahalya raised her head and, seeing Rama's divinely charming form, held his feet, exclaiming in ecstasy, "Ah, I am saved! O God, you have come to save me from sin. Your heart is moved at last." She poured out her gratitude in many hymns of praise. She rose like the moon from behind the clouds, effulgent and fresh. At that moment, Gautama too, who was a master of the mysterious of yoga, appeared before them, for he knew that Rama had come and rescued his wife. He accepted her, purified by rigorous austerities and blessed by Rama. Both husband and wife fell at the feet of Rama and Lakshmana, who were overwhelmed by the spiritual bliss they had. Gautama offered reverence and homage to Vishwamitra. The band of disciples was amazed at the wonder they had witnessed. They looked at the brothers with a fixed gaze of wonder. Vishwamitra took leave of Gautama and walked on, in a northeasterly direction with Rama and Lakshmana by his side. End of Chapter 7, Part 3. Sai Ram.
Shri Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Ram Sita Ram, Sita Ram, Sita Ram. Shri Ram ji ki महिमा अपार, राम जी की महिमा अपार. सुन लो तो बेड़ा पार, सुन लो तो बेड़ा पार. श्री राम जी की महिमा अपार, राम जी की महिमा अपार. श्री राम नीरज नयना मुखारविंदा, श्यामल छवि अति सुंदर राम. करुणा स्वरूप श्री राम, निर्मल स्वभाव श्री राम. करुणा स्वरूप निर्मल स्वभाव, भक्तों के प्राण गुणशीलवान. नीरज नयना मुखारविंदा, श्यामल छवि अति सुंदर राम. रविकुल मंडन दशरथ नंदन, मुनि मनरंजन नयन विराम. राम श्री राम, श्री राम, श्री राम, राम श्री राम. श्री राम जी की महिमा अपार, राम जी की महिमा अपार. राम जय जय श्री राम, जय जय श्री राम, जय जय श्री राम। जिनकी कृपा ने आखर बितारे, एक ही बाण ने दुष्ट संहारे। जिनकी कृपा ने पाथर बितारे, एक ही बाण ने दुष्ट संहारे। चरणों की धूल ने पापी उधारे, जन्मदिन उन्हीं का मना लो आज, जन्मदिन उन्हीं का मना लो आज। मुबारक हो सबको जन्मदिन की रात। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम। रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीताराम। राम सीता राम सीता राम, राम सीता राम सीता राम सीता राम। श्री राम जी की महिमा अपार, राम जी की महिमा अपार। सुन लो तो, सुन लो तो बेड़ा पार, सुन लो तो बेड़ा पार। श्री राम जी की महिमा अपार, राम जी की महिमा अपार। राम सीता राम सीता राम